In the last video, we understood what variables are. Today, we are going to understand what typecasting is. Now that we know that variables are containers that can store data in memory, we can now establish our understanding of typecasting, which is changing one data type to another. Before we proceed, I want to make it clear that you don't have to focus on noting things down, and also you don't have to focus on remembering things. All you need to do is show up and understand all the concepts that I'm teaching you, because I've done all the hard work for you so that you can get the best out of this course. Now let's do one thing. Let's create a new folder and let's name it typecasting. So I'll create a new folder 04_typecasting and let's open this folder in VS Code. So I'm going to press shift right click and click open with code, and now I'm going to simply say 01_typecasting .py, which is simply a Python file. So what exactly is typecasting? Let us say I have a variable and the value in this variable is 34. So A stores 34. Now if I print A, I'm going to get 34 as the output. So if I run this program, you'll see 34 is the output. Now if I print the type of A, you'll see that the output of this program is nothing but class int. So this is a variable of type int. No surprises there. But if I say B is equal to 34, and what if I put it in double quotes, B is equal to 34 in double quote, and I do the same thing with B, what happens is that the B is printed, 34 is printed. Let's change it to B and let's run this program. So A is printed, type of A is printed, then B is printed, type of B is printed. Now did you notice something? When we print A, we see 34 on the screen and the class isn't. But when we print B and we print the type of B, we see this on screen. It looks like 34 and 34 are equal, but this 34 is of type int and this 34 is of type string. Now this is very interesting. Sometimes what happens is that we get one variable as string and we want to convert it to int. Let us say I have B is equal to 34 and I want to find out whether person with age B can drive or not. So I will have to process B as a number. But if B is a string, I cannot process it as a number. So what I can do is I can simply say that I want to convert B to an integer. So I will say convert B to an integer. I'm writing a single line comment which I'll talk more about in the future, but for now you remember that if I start anything with a pound symbol, it is going to ignore, the Python interpreter is going to ignore this line. Okay, so let's press enter and let's say C is equal to int B. Now what does this syntax mean? I'm saying that, hey, create a new variable called C and store the integer version of B inside C. So B was initially a string, but what I did was I converted that string to an integer using int function. So B is now converted to an integer. Let's try to print C and let's see if C stores the integer version of B or not. So B remains a string, but C is storing the integer version of B. Okay, so we are saying C is equal to int version of B. So the original B has not been changed, but we have changed B and allocated the value to C. So C now contains the integer value of B. Now let's print this and let's see if we can print it. And let's also print type of C. Let's also print type of C. So we are printing C and type of C. The output of this program is going to be 34 as an int because A stores integer version of 34. No surprises there. But now when I print B and type of B, 34 and string will be printed, like class str will be printed. And then if I say C is equal to int B, C now stores integer value of B, which means that the value 34 is printed, but this time integer should be printed. Let's run this program and see for ourselves. So int, string and int. Did you see that? Did you see how we converted one data type to another? We can do this with other data types also. Let me show it to you. We can convert a number to a string as well. Now let us say I have a variable called D is equal to 2 to 3, the type of D is clearly integer, but we want to change it to string. We can always say E is equal to str and we can say D. Now D contains an integer, but I want to convert this integer to a string. So I'll say E is equal to strd, which means that E now stores the string version of D. This is all it means. Now I can say print E, and I also want to print type of E. So I can print E as well as type of E, and if I run this program, you'll see that type of E is now a string and 223 is printed. So sometimes what happens is that you expect a particular variable to be an integer, but it is actually string. And we are going to see that when we learn about input function in the future. But for now, typecasting means converting one data type to another. Let me show you something. I've created a handbook for you so that you don't have to remember everything. You have this handbook at your disposal even after you have completed the course. So I have included everything in this handbook. Now, what is typecasting? It is the process of converting one data type to another. This function will convert a value to integer. This function will convert a value to float. This function will convert a value to string. And this function will convert the value to Boolean. I've included an example program for you, but I'm also going to give all these files to you so that you have these files as well with you. In this example, you'll see that num_str is a number which is stored as a string. So this variable is a string, but it contains a number, which means that if you print this variable, it will look like it is a number, but it is actually not a number. It's a string. Okay, now we can convert it to an integer by running int num_str, and finally when we print this, the output is 10 but as an integer. Now what happens is, if this number is already an integer and we run int of something which is an integer, nothing happens. It remains an integer. So sometimes if you expect user to give an input or a program to give an input to you and you are not sure whether it's an integer or not, you can always convert it to integer and you can run this int function which can convert it to an integer. So this is how you can convert a string to integer. This is how you convert an integer to string. And this is how you convert a floating point number to integer. Pi is 3.14. Python, being dynamically typed, understands that pi is a floating point number. And then I can create a variable called pi_int, which will convert this value to an integer. Okay, so you can run this program by copying it. So let's copy this program and let's run this example. So let me create a file called example.py and let's run this program. Okay, now if I run this program, the output is 10, 25 and 3. Now this output doesn't signify anything, but you'll understand after you print the type of num_str. So let's print type of num_str, num_int, and then I also want to print the type of num_str. So I can write ns and press enter, and then I can do the same with type of pi_int. Okay, so if I run this, you'll see that the classes have been printed: integer, string and integer, because this is an integer, this is a string, and this is an integer. Okay, so this is how you can understand how typecasting works. You can run this example and also you can go through the handbook if you have not understood it. But I hope that you have understood this, and in the next video we are going to learn about taking user input in Python. Before we proceed, I want to tell you something, that you don't have to rush. Just download the handbook, read it. If you're not able to understand, write some code yourself. Let me tell you, if you don't write code, you are not going to learn. You will have to write code if you want to learn. See you in the next video.